Guys, before you go on to this clip, please don't forget to press the subscribe button for more content like this. We post all our clips on this channel from the podcast. I know you're going to enjoy this quite a lot.
Whether you are at 20 or you are at 50 or you are at 60, some of these things you would believe that are so foundational are governed by law of, what you might say, law of nature, which is so foundational and common to everything and common to everybody that it is inescapable to be away from that. And it is just that when you are thinking you are away from that, and when you are thinking and loading on that inescapable nature of law, the protocols which are tangible word protocols or man-made protocols, etc., then you at times get distracted. But foundationally, you would still find that in your DNA, it's not only you, even this table, even this mic, even this camera, everything is governed by law of nature. And that's what physicists have been trying to prove for over 100 years now, 120 years.
Since quantum. But before you move on, there is a lot that is written about this sort of inanimation, that bureaucracy, या man-made sort of procedures and policies. There are entire writers जिनकी पूरी life का work ये था कि देखो तुम्हें इंसान ने एक नंबर बना दिया, तुम्हारी इंसानियत तुमसे ले ली, और फिर उनके चाहे वो political messages हो, चाहे वो philosophical, psychological messages हो, चाहे वो spiritual messages हो, वो message ये था कि भाई lean into this law of nature, right? Like come back to life again. Yes. In whatever way. चाहे वो liberation, communist liberation की तरह fashion रही हो, चाहे वो ओशो की क्रांति हो या JK की self awareness हो, you know, there is many of those ideas. क्या है ये law of nature? Because मेरे को कई बार ऐसा लगता है कि ये ना एक बड़ी odd generalization है, और मैं मतलब अभी आपके context में नहीं कह रहा, आप बोलते हो तो मेरे को पता है इस बात की credibility है, बट जब WhatsApp पे मेरे को आता है ना, बेटा ये तो law of nature है, XYZ ABC, वो हर चीज़ के पीछे लग जाता है. तुम 27 साल के हो गए हो, ये लॉ ऑफ नेचर है, शादी कर लो. तो मैं लॉ ऑफ नेचर क्या है और गुड और बैड लॉ ऑफ नेचर के कथन में कैसे डिफरेंशिएट करूं?
So I tell you, we are slightly getting away from doing an exercise with you, which will come back to.
No, right after this.
So I'll just say that, first of all, if you were to look at it from a scientific inquiry perspective, what is the law of nature? First of all, you would have to define what is the law of nature, or what would you regard as a law of nature.
Fair.
Right. So what would you regard as a law of nature is that with which everything in the nature is governed, point number one, which is infallible in all circumstances, point number two. So now that has been the discovery, whether you say it quantum, entangled particles, God particles, etc. And today, the physicists agree that there is a common thing which drives, or which is foundational, and everything is derivative of the same thing, right?
What is it?
So this, I would call it, from a lack of definition perspective, the material and energy cause of the cosmos. Not only universe, the whole beyond the universe. The material and energy cause of the cosmos is what governs the law of nature, with which everything is formed. This table is also formed with this, the living being also formed with this, non-living being also formed with this. If you keep slicing it, go down, you'll find molecule, you'll find matter, you'll find substance, you'll find molecule, you'll find electron, proton, neutron, and then you go to electron and subatomic particles, and then you find God particle, and then you'll find this is energy.
Right. This is movement of electrons
This is energy, just the energy. Now that energy is infinitely small in some sense when you look at the things from a bigger thing, and that energy is so vast that it permeates everything, right? So to me, the law of nature is, what is that energy? So now if you look at something that causes everything in the cosmos to be built, everything in the cosmos to be its derivative, so what is it doing? It is perpetuating itself. It is perpetuating itself in a living being, non-living being, trees, man, human being, everything it is perpetuating. So one of the foundational law of nature to my mind is that everything wants to perpetuate itself,
fair,
right?
right,
So even the energy with which the cosmos is made, that also wants to perpetuate itself.
कि उसको भी फैलना है और
उसको
अपने
भी
जैसे
फैलना
और
है,
बनाने हैं।
और अपने जैसे और बनाए, हर चीज लॉ बन जाए, हर चीज मेरे जैसी बन जाए,
बिल्कुल,
राइट?
हाँ।
मेंढक कितना ब्रीड करेगा, वो चाहे सब चीज मेंढक बन जाए,
मेंढकों की दुनिया हो।
मेंढकों की दुनिया हो,
हाँ।
राइट? तो ऐसी वो कॉस्मिक एनर्जी की दुनिया हो, राइट? नाउ दैट एनर्जी which is the cause of the nature, cause of the cosmos, wants everything to become that energy, and that energy is what creates everything, right? And it wants everything to become that energy.
ठीक।
So this presents a cycle, right? Now how does everything becomes that energy? For that energy to be what it is, you need to satisfy certain tests, you need to have some learnings, you need to have, just like you would become a graduate, you did your graduation from a university.
Fair.
Where did you go?
Columbia University.
Right. And what did you study?
Psychology and economics.
Psychology and economics.
Yes.
Oh, very good. Huh? So you had a syllabus?
Yes.
Semesters, syllabus had topics, subtopics, right?
Bilkul.
And you passed all of them.
Yes.
Then you became a graduate.
Yes.
Right. So similarly, to become that energy, there is a syllabus, prescribed syllabus, that may have 600 semesters, which may have 3,000 topics or 30,000 topics or 3 million topics. And when this table goes through and passes all those tests, gets all that learning, this will become that energy. When you do all that learning, you will become that energy. So that is the design this has created, that it wants to perpetuate itself. To perpetuate itself, it has to get certain qualities imbued in the person, or imbued in the things, and imbued in the nature, or imbued in the matter.
Right.
And once that matter goes through all those qualities, it becomes that energy.
That energy.
And that's what you say, oh my God.
That is God.
People call it God.
Right.
People call it God. That today I have merged. I am enlightened. I have merged. I have no existence separate from what it is. So just like people say that river, when it merges into sea,
अब वो river नहीं रही, अब वो sea हो गई.
वो sea हो गई. So it can't see. River can't see it merging into sea.
हाँ.
It can't.
River को क्या पता है?
River को क्या पता है? The moment it merges into sea, it no more remains a river.
Right.
Till such time it remains a river, it has not merged in the sea.
Right.
So it simply vanishes.
So this cosmic energy that seeks to perpetuate itself is what people call God.
People would call God, but this is my definition
Fair.
of the law of nature.
Right.
That law of nature is defining that everything should become like me, and that energy wants everything to become like that energy. It has prescribed the qualities of that energy, and once you become imbued with that quality, you'll become that energy. If this table gets started learning, then this table would become that energy.
Huh. What is the proof that this is a law? Like, how does one observe this law?
So I think the deductive logic of this, one, because it's a law of nature and it is not a law of science, right? The science has proven it so far up till a
certain point,
right? Now the fact that it has proven it up till a certain point and it has not disproved it beyond that point. So
Right.
stay with that to have some positivity about it.
ठीक.
Some
समझ गया मैं.
acceptance of it.
हाँ, right.
Right.
Like
So
you have to have an open mind.
You have to have an open mind. So that is where I see that if from 1940s till now, we have done so much research on quantum particles, subparticles, etc., and every time we have come closer to this. And every time when we come closer to this, you are in that journey. You haven't yet arrived at that station where you actually have the scientific proof of this law,
Right.
but you are almost there, maybe a few miles
Away.
almost there, where you now know that everything is derivative of something common.
Right.
Everything is derivative of something common. यहाँ तक तो है ना scientific proof.
हाँ.
But so everything is derivative of something common is quite a distance you have traveled to say this table is also that which Prakhar is.
It is very similar to philosophy में argument होता है prime mover का कि अगर ये सृष्टि बनी तो उससे पहले भी तो किसी ने धक्का मारा होगा उस पहले एटम को जिससे बिग बैंग और फिर वो वहां से प्राइम मूवर आर्गुमेंट कहते हैं इसको गॉड के लिए. Right.
No, but prime mover argument suffers from this, that there is a prime mover connotation or a belief.
Right.
Right. But
Right.
and that's why if you were to say energy, the energy's existence versus prime mover, to me it appears that anything when you
Personified.
personify, you run into a problem. Because the personification starts from a point where a lot of things have happened. Before that, it was non-personified. And if it was non-personified, and if you don't accept it as such that it is non-personified, then you would run into a problem. You'll
Right.
find inconsistency.
Right,
Whether
right,
it is
right.
you address it from a religious perspective or you address it from a philosophical perspective.
Personification के साथ people start seeing themselves in there, people start attributing their goods and bads to it, and then it becomes a very political sort of situation. Like
Yeah,
with personification, the politicization is almost inevitable.
Yeah, because you're creating an identity.
Right.
And you're moving around an identity.
Right.
So instead of moving an identity, if you remain in that zone of the scientific discovery of a common thing of which everything is derivative, then you are much better and much satisfied with the discovery being consistent to what you might like to call God but not personify it.
Without personifying
Yeah.
it. Fair.
ब्रो, अगर ये सुन के आपको मजा आया किसी भी एंड तक, अगर आप यहाँ तक देख रहे हो तो मजा आया ही, ठीक है? अपने आप से बात मत करो फालतू की. एक काम करो, सब्सक्राइब. ट्रस्ट मी.